Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to my Best of Designers series. We're now going to talk in this particular episode about one of the most famous designers in the world, or at least one of the designer who more people have probably played his games than anyone else, and that is Richard Garfield. Now, Richard Garfield is probably best known for Magic, although incidentally, Magic these days, if you meet Magic players, they probably kind of know Richard Garfield was the designer of it, but they're more interested in whoever the current developers are of the game. But he has done more than just that. He's also done some fantastic board games as the years have gone by. And so I'm going to talk about my 10 favorite games from Richard Garfield. Number 10, Spynet. I tend to like spy games. This one here is it just recently came out last year, actually, as you're going out on different missions, but you have to have the most spies in front of you to go out on a mission. So the spy theme is kind of tenuous, actually, but the gameplay itself is really good as you're going back and forth, and I especially like the pairing where you're working 2 against 2. Number 9 is Filthy Rich. Filthy Rich has a mechanism that I haven't seen any other game copy ever, where you are actually playing in a book with those card protectors, and you're putting signs in to show your business, but you might flip, and so some signs will cover up other signs. We'll move from page to page. If you're on the bottom page, you'll show up no matter what, unless someone else covers you. There were some problems with the game, especially the taxes, and there's some dice chucking in it, but the concept was really good, and I liked it. So Filthy Rich. Number 8, What Were You Thinking? Richard Garfield took the game that a party game people play on the internet, which is essentially try to say something that everyone else says. And so that whole thing comes to the table. So name a color, and you're like, well, I think everyone else will say blue. So you're trying to match the most people to get the most points. It works really well. And I believe that there's a newer version of this game, Hive Mind, which I have not yet played. Number 7 is Treasure Hunter. This one's kind of a travesty that this one wasn't nominated for Spiel des Jahres. It's a really good drafting game as you get cards in your hand and you will play them in front of you, and then you'll go out and get treasure depending on what you played. You played the most of this kind, you played the most of this kind, were you able to fight the goblins? Really simple concepts, plays really fast. I like it a lot. Treasure Hunter. Number 6 is Netrunner, or the updated version, Android Netrunner. Now this game, currently the meta game of this is way surpassed me. I wouldn't go play Android Netrunner with people because they know so much about it. The living card game from Fantasy Flight, it's in its 2nd edition now. But it's a really cool game. It's neat, it's asymmetrical. One person is a hacker or a runner trying to get in, the other person's a corporation trying to stop them. It feels different. One person setting traps, trying to mess up the other person trying to avoid those. So many different combinations. You know, for somebody who designed a very original collectible card game, Magic the Gathering, to make another one that feels completely different is amazing. Netrunner, Android Netrunner. Number 5 is another collectible card game, Battletech, the collectible card game. I love this game. In fact, if they had made more expansions for it, I would probably like it better than Magic. But that is because, on one hand, I really do tend to like the Battletech universe a lot. But I felt like this game offered some pretty neat choices. You would have mechs that you'd place out there, and the speed of the mechs mattered. And you would attack not just your opponent, but you might attack their draw pile or their discard pile or some of their resources that they had out there. Oh, I played this game many, many times. Battletech, the collectible card game. Number 4, Robo Rally. The very first game he designed, actually, the story goes that he brought Robo Rally to Wizards of the Coast and said, you know, would you publish this for me? And they said, we need a smaller card game, you know, that we can get some money from. He's like, well, I have this game, Magic. But Robo Rally itself, this programming game, as you program your robots, they move around the board, knocking each other off, shooting each other with lasers, is hilarious. It's chaotic and logical at the same time. And that, you know, this continuity just really makes me laugh every time I play it. Number 3, Magic the Gathering. I think I've said this 80 times in this thing so far. Magic the Gathering, fantastic game. I'm not a lifestyle Magic player. I don't play very often, but I do like the concept. I mean, Richard Garfield here basically brought a new thing and changed gaming forever, and he has kept game stores in business for a long time now. Magic the Gathering, which is still being played over 20 years later. Everyone is having a great time with it. It's gone in different directions. I personally prefer to play Commander myself, or just casually. Give me a deck, you take a deck. It's fun. Number 2 is Bunny Kingdom. This is another drafting game. He likes to make drafting games. Bunny Kingdom is a game where you are drafting from a pile of cards and putting bunnies out, forming different kingdoms with these rabbits, or just drafting point scoring cards. I've taught this game many, many times. I was just at Tabletop Day a few weeks ago, and I taught this to many different groups of people, and it just goes over so well. It looks fun with the bunnies out there, but also just gives so many options, and it's a drafting game where you're like, every card is good. And my number 1 favorite game from Richard Garfield is King of Tokyo, or King of New York, which is very similar to King of Tokyo. King of Tokyo, I couldn't believe it when I first saw it. A game with one space. Tokyo. You're either in or you're out. It was a game that when I first played it, I lost my first game of it in less than a couple minutes. And you're like, what? But I was just being silly, but it's fun. You roll dice, you fight other monsters. The expansions have only made it better. Everyone likes the whole big kaiju thing, and this game has really transcended and kept Yellow afloat for one thing. I mean, it's their biggest, most popular game that they've done, and nothing else has really come close to it. And it's, again, it feels different than the other games. It doesn't feel like Magic. It doesn't feel like Bunny Kingdom. And so Richard Garfield is not just a Magic the Gathering has-been type character. He has made many, many great games, and I think he's one of the best designers ever, honestly. What are some games that I didn't mention? What should I put in my list? Let me know. Tell me what you think. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Best of Designers, Richard Garfield on the Dice Tower.